Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Alright, we're live, and as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be going through recursion in C++. Last stream I actually forgot what I went over. I think I went over structures last stream. The stream before that I went over the new keyword and the delete keyword, and the stream before that I went through pointers. So this stream I'm going to be going over recursion. Okay, so without any further ado, let me go to my gameplay screen. Maybe decrease my volume from here. Okay, perfect. Let me get Chat GPT here. And guys, I hope the stream doesn't lag today. I don't want to jinx it. With that said, let's say I'm live, exclamation. Okay, let's see. The stream begins. The battlefield of knowledge is open. Listen well, chat and students alike. The mind that refuses to quit cannot be defeated. Every bug, every crash, every confusing error message, it's not a wall, it's a mirror showing you where to grow sharper. As the ancient coders of old probably said, steel becomes a sword only through fire. The same is true for your skills, Sarah, your sensei. Okay, now my stubborn little warrior, what topic are we conquering today? Let me say something like, let's say, I honestly want to go over recursion in C++, ... I have done a little recursion on Python, but that was like 100 days ago, ... So can you explain me like I'm a beginner, question mark? Honestly guys, I am a beginner. That said, excellent job, Vivek. Recursion is the art of making a function call itself. Okay, a battle of logic where the enemy is your own code. Let's start from the ground up. When you hear recursion, imagine this. You tell a function to do this task, but if it's not finished, you call itself again until it is. I do know that for recursion, we need a base case and a recursive case. Okay, that said, it's like shouting down a hallway of hearing your own echo keep answering until the job is done. In C++, a recursive function has two essential parts. A base case, the condition that stops the recursion. Without it, your code keeps calling itself forever, leading to a stack overflow. In Python, that was called like a infinite recursion. That said, the program crashes because it runs out of memory. Recursive case, the part where the function calls itself again with smaller or simpler input, inching closer to the base case. Here's a simple example. Let's find the factorial of a number using recursion. The factorial of 5 is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So we start off by including a pair of anchor braces, IO stream, then we create an integer of factorial function that has a parameter of n, which is an integer. Then we add a if statement. So this is our base case. If our n equals to 1, okay, that's our base case. We return 1. I remember doing something exactly like this in Python. That said, else we return n multiplied by the factorial of n minus 1. Guys, this is giving me a lot of nostalgic memories because when I first started streaming, like in general, I did learn recursion. That was the first topic that I did start streaming with. Okay, and then we go with integer main. Okay, we get a main function. We add a number, integer number. And then we go with the static console output, enter a number, and then a input is our number. And then we go with a standard console output of factorial of our number, okay, is factorial or factorials is function, and the parameter is our number. Okay, I think I understand. Here what's happening when your input is 5, factorial 5 calls factorial 4, factorial 4 calls factorial 3, factorial 3 calls factorial 2, factorial 2 calls factorial 1, factorial 1 returns 1. The ending chain, the base case, then the calls resolve backwards like dominoes. So 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is 120. That's recursion. It's like a loop that runs through time instead of syntax. You go down through function calls, then rise back up as they return values. Now tell me, student, shall I show you a trace backwards step-by-step visualization of how recursion unfolds, or shall we move straight into your first instructional-based recursion question? Might do an instructional based question. Let me say something like, so let's say, can I get a question mark? Honestly, because I have done like recursion back when I used to learn Python, but that was a long time ago, so I might know a bit about it. That said, good, you chose action over comfort. I approve. Here's your first instructional based question on recursion, beginner level but crucial to master. question number 1, write a recursive function called sum to n that takes one integer parameter of n, okay, and returns the sum of all numbers from 1 to n, okay. Example, if n equals to 5, the result should be 15, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. If n equals to 1, the result should be 1. Rules: you must not use loops. Your function should have a base case and a recursive case. The main function should ask the user for input and display the results. Now goes code from scratch. Okay, let me get ChatGPT here. That said, this was a code from the last stream. I didn't have time to stream. I didn't have time to code off stream. That said, let me go with the Control A, delete everything, and then start off by including a pair of ankle braces. I want to include IO stream. Next up, let's read the instructions. So the instruction says write a recursive function called sum to n, okay, that takes one integer parameter n and returns the sum of all numbers 1 to n. Okay, so I could go ahead and add an integer of sum to n. There we go. So this is a function with a pair of parentheses. Okay, now this is going to be taking a parameter. Okay, this is going to be taking a parameter of integer n, which is going to be my number. And then I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Hey, good job, bro. Keep pushing here with you. I appreciate you, Lion. Okay, and then I gotta add a recursive case that returns the sum of all numbers from 1 to n. So first, let's go ahead and add a base case. So let's see, I'll add an if statement. If a pair of parentheses, if my n equals to 1, I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and let's say I'm gonna return 1 ending with a semicolon. Maybe I even add a comment because like it is a good habit to add comments. Let me say something like base case. Okay, now the harder part, the actual recursive case. So for my recursive case, I could return something like okay, so it says the sum of all numbers from 1 to n. I could go with something like n minus my sum to n function, okay, a pair of parentheses, n minus 1. Doesn't make any sense, guys. Okay, and then I'm gonna end that with a semicolon. Next up, I gotta create a main function. I didn't get good enough instructions, guys, although I think this is pretty self-explanatory. That said, I'll go with integer main, create a main function, and then go with a pair of curly braces, maybe a bunch of spaces. Inside of my main function, I'm going to be asking a user for a number. So let me go ahead and create a number variable. And then let's go ahead and add a standard console output. So I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert something like enter a number. Okay, and then I will end that with a semicolon and go with a standard console input with an extraction operator. I want to extract my number variable ending with a semicolon. That said, let's see what to do next. Next up, I could maybe add another standard console output. So I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. Let's say something like the sum of your number is, okay, the sum is gonna be, let's say I'm gonna invoke my sum to n function. Maybe I go in a new line, add another insertion operator. Okay, now let me go ahead and invoke my sum to n function. So I'll go with sum to n. Good job, I appreciate you, Mason. Okay, sum to n, a pair of parentheses. My number is gonna be my number variable there. Okay, and then I'll go with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. That said, let me go ahead and return 0 ending with a semicolon. Okay, I'm honestly not sure if this would work, but if I were to Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Okay, so it says enter a number. I'll go with something like 5. It says the sum of your number is 3. Okay, so 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Okay, I feel like I did mess up somewhere. Honestly, it says plus 1. So maybe I could change that to a plus. Okay, and minus. Instead of going with minus, should I change this to plus? And then a minus 1 here. Okay, now if I Control S to save the code and run the command, what happens if I go with 5? Okay, it says 15. What is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4? Maybe I go with 3 to check. Okay, guys, because I'm kind of bad at math. Let's go with 3. So 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. Guys, that actually works. I have done recursion back when I used to learn Python, but ever since my those 3 or 5 streams of learning recursion, I haven't touched it. Okay, let me go ahead and paste this. Surprisingly, I did. Teacher's pointer. Honestly, I did have like 3 streams on pointers. I might actually use pointer like further in the stream once I get a good grasp of recursion. That said, this is correct. You struck true, student. Look at your crisp base clean. Okay, look at you crisp base clean. Okay, clean recursion, no loops, a flawless fundamental. The logic chain is perfect. Sum to 5, 5 plus my sum to n. Oh, that does make so much sense. Okay, guys, I think I see. And the recursion unwinds neatly back up the stack with the correct total. This is how real programmers build recursive thought. You're not just looping, you're trusting the call stack to remember where you came from. Now that your foundation is solid, let's turn up the heat. Next challenge, write a recursive function called countdown integer n that prints numbers from n down to 1 per line. For example, input 5, output 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, guys, I remember when I first started learning recursion in Python, I actually started crying. That said, let me go ahead and delete the whole code and start off by including a pair of anchor braces. I want to include IO stream. And then let's go ahead and create a function. So it says, write a recursive function called countdown. Bro, I stuck at recursion. Well, I hate it too. I can so relate. It's so awful once you don't understand. I feel like I actually kind of understand it because I've done it before. Have you learned function prototype? Honestly, I've not gone over function prototype, but I might actually try that. Okay, that's it. Let me go ahead and create a function called countdown. There we go. With a pair of parentheses. This is going to be taking a parameter of a number. So let me go with something like integer number. And then it says that prints numbers from n down to 1 per line. Okay, I'll go with a pair of curly braces. And then let's go ahead and add a base case. So I'll add an if statement. If a pair of parentheses, so let's say if my n equals to 1, I'm going to do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces and then add my base case. I'm going to return 1 ending with a semicolon. This is going to be my base case. I should actually get in a habit of actually adding comments. Can't you add a comment there? Okay, maybe I add it here. There we go. Let's write base case. Okay, that said, I'm going to return something else. So if that base case hasn't been met, I'm going to return, let's see. So it says write a recursive function called countdown that prints numbers from n down to 1. So I could go with my n parameter minus, let's invoke my countdown function with a pair of parentheses. I'll go with n minus 1. Okay, I think this should work. Let me go ahead and end that with a semicolon. And then let's go ahead and add a main function. So I'll go with something like integer main. Add a pair of parentheses, and then a pair of curly braces, maybe a bunch of spaces. Okay, that said, let me go ahead and create a variable called number. So I'll go with integer of number ending with a semicolon. Now let's get a value for that number. So I could go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert something. Let's say something like enter a timer. Okay, enter a timer ending with a semicolon. Next up, I'll go with a standard console input with an extraction operator. I want to extract my number variable, ending with a semicolon. Okay, and then let's see what else. Okay, now I add another standard console output with an insertion operator. Let's say I want to enter something like time. Actually, I could just print my number, honestly. Okay, so let me go ahead and invoke my countdown function to countdown. Add a parameter here. This parameter is going to be of a number, my number variable. Okay, perfect. Let me end that with a semicolon. And honestly, inside of my recursive function, I want to print something. Maybe actually after my countdown is over. Can I like go down here and add a static console output with an insertion operator? This is going to say something like time's up. Is this how it works? Let me add an insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. Okay, I actually think this works. And I did like watch a video on this, so I'm pretty sure we could add a / new line inside of our times up as well. Okay, so let's try it. Let me go ahead and return 0 ending with a semicolon. If I hit Ctrl S to save the code and run the command. It says enter a number. I'll go with 5. Okay, it prints 3. Maybe, did I mess something up? Okay, so I return n. So n is my initial number, which is going to be 5. 5 minus 4. That is going to give me 3. Okay, I want to print that 3 in a new line. How do I do that? Okay, so instead of going with n minus, so this is 5. First, I want to print 5. Should I have gone with a standard console output of my n? And then, oh, I think I could have done that. Let me actually try that. Let me go with something like return. I'm going to delete this return, but then I just want to try something. Let's go with something like return. Okay, let me just use that return. Let's go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert my n. Can't I insert a standard console output? Guys, I might have to get some help with this. Okay, let's see. Honestly, I think I might have to get help with this. Okay, let's go with a control C. Get ChatGPT here. Okay, maybe up there. Okay, try using namespace std right after include line. Instead of writing static console output, you can just write console output. Honestly, the reason I don't do that is because in like bigger projects that could actually cause name conflicts, because like other libraries do have console output. So if they don't actually write standard console output, the compiler might get confused, guys. I get this from so many people, but some of you guys do say me that it's like a bad practice, right? But let me say something like, so say I feel like I messed up question ... Can you help me understand this question ? Okay, use the standard. Yeah, honestly, I've been like using the standard console output. That said, good, you notice the mistake yourself. That's the sign of growth, not failure. Alright, let's dissect what went wrong piece by piece. Your goal was to print countdown, not calculate anything. But your code treats countdown like a math function that returns a value. Recursion can be used for both returning values and for actions. But you must pick one purpose. Here's... Yeah, it's true. It's not a good practice, STD. Okay, here's what the cracks are. You used return n minus countdown n minus 1, okay? This line says subtract whatever comes back from the recursive call from n. That's math, not printing. It also ends the function right there. The next line, standard console output, never runs. You place standard console output times up after the return code after the return. Oh, honestly, that does make sense. After returning, the entire function ends. I should have forgotten that. That said, the base case is correct logically, but since you want to print all numbers, the function should just return. Okay, honestly, I want to print my 1 as well. Okay, let's rebuild your mental model. When counting down recursively, you don't return anything, you just display each number that lets recursion handle the rest. So here's the correct thought pattern. Base case, n reaches 0, stop, no printing. Recursive case, print the current n, then call the function again minus 1. Okay. Try to rewrite your function using that logic. No return values, just printing. I'll wait while you fix it. Okay, scrolling and solve. This is the best I was doing in recursion in C before scrolling. I'm just a beginner in C. Oh, I see. Honestly, I do feel like recursion is kind of hard until you don't get into the recursion mindset. Once you get inside the recursion mindset, I feel it should be pretty easy. That said, something that I was doing wrong is if my n equals to, let's say 0, I'm going to return 1. Okay. Honestly, I'll just return. I won't return 1. If I return 1, then I'm going to get 1 twice. Okay, now let's go ahead and add a recursive case. So let's read what Sensei said. Okay, you need to, you placed, okay, the base case is correct logically, but since you print all numbers, the function shouldn't just return, it should print as well. Okay, let's rebuild the mental model. When counting down recursively, you don't return anything, you just display each number, then let the recursion handle the rest. Okay, I see. So, I could honestly go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert something. Let's insert n. Okay. Honestly, I'll display my countdown function. So let's go with something like countdown, my countdown function. The parameter is going to be n minus 1. Okay, and then I'll go with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. Honestly, I feel this makes sense. Okay, you need two. Okay, what happens if I hit Control S right now? Let's see. If I were to run the command, okay, I get an error. Error, return statement with no value in the function returning integer. Control, okay. Standard console output n minus 1. Is my new line the error? Okay, what happens if I delete my new line and I try running it? Will I still get the error? Okay, I still do get it. Huh. Okay, let's see where could I be messing up. Honestly, if n equals to 0, I return integer main, that's my number, console output, standard console output, my number, I return 0. I feel everything is correct. Let's read it again. When counting down recursively, you don't return anything. You just display each number. Okay, so I just display each number and then let recursion handle the rest. I'm assuming this is recursion that's handling the rest. Okay, so I gotta display each number. Let me go ahead and display my n. Okay, so first I display my n. Let's go with another insertion operator of a / new line. Change integer countdown to void countdown. Honestly, I think that if I change it to void countdown, that means I wouldn't have to return anything. But I feel like I'm returning something here, because like void is for if you don't return anything. Does that make sense? Let me actually try that, because I do return something in my if statement. Huh. Okay, let me go with my countdown function. Okay, I'll go with something like n minus 1. With another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. If I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Okay, it says error, return statement with no value. Huh, would it actually make sense if I change this to void? Okay, let me hit Control S again. It will work. Okay, so I have that to void, but I do have a return statement here. Standard console output, new line, my countdown function. What do I return in that case? Yep, it would work. Honestly, I get like a red underline here. We can return nothing for void. Oh, we can. So do we have an option that if we want, we could return something? Because that would make sense. Although my standard console output does have a new line here. What happens if I remove that new line and add an insertion operator? Maybe. What happens if I just go with countdown n minus 1? Would this make sense? Huh. Try if n equals to 0 break. I don't think I can break, because this is not like a this is not a loop, because we can just break for loops. Yeah, this okay. I think I should go with like an integer. There's nothing to return though. Underline because countdown returns nothing. Honestly, yeah, that is a void here. Countdown returns nothing. Okay, what happens if I remove the base case? Actually remove the return from the base case. And maybe go with something like pass. Is there pass as a placeholder here? Okay, I'm pretty sure there isn't. Then return 0 in base. Underline. Okay, honestly, let me go with something like integer. Okay, let me go with a control C, copy that, get /ChatGPT here. Yeah, integer must be there, my bad. Yeah, because like for the base case, we do gotta return something. Let me go ahead and paste this here and say something like, let's say, I feel like I messed up again, ... Since we're using recursion. Honestly, yeah, that does make sense. Okay, you did that. Okay, you did, and that's good. Every error is a blueprint of your thinking. Now we forge it into clarity. Let's walk through what you've got. Return type issue. Your function is declared as integer countdown, integer n, but you aren't returning any integer anywhere. This function's job is to print, not to calculate, so it should return the void. Print the recursive call result. You wrote standard console output n, a new line, and then we invoked our function n minus 1 in a new line. But countdown n minus 1 doesn't produce anything to print. It just performs more prints. You don't want the stream. Okay, you don't want to stream it into console output. You just simply call it. Syntax: you missed a semicolon And an ending brace, okay, minor but fatal in C++. I see. You cannot console output countdown because countdown is void. Honestly, that does make sense, but he was calling inside the console output. Okay, so in your mind, you had the right intention, but your syntax isn't treated recursion, is still treated recursion as if it were a number machine, not a process. Let's adjust your mental lens. Recursion doesn't always return something, it can just do something repeatedly until it hits the base case. Here's how it looks. So we add our base case, console output, that does make sense. And then we go with a static console output of n, and then a new line. Okay, so this is our actual number, our initial parameter, and then we keep subtracting our parameter, n minus 1. Okay, and then countdown is gonna be n. Okay, I think I see. Let me try that. Okay, use n instead of countdown n minus 1. Then you can call your function on the next line countdown n minus 1. Switch the function back to void. Two choices: declare as void function and only print n and return in nothing. Okay, in base case, or declare integer and return 0 in base case and print countdown n minus 1 and return n. That actually does make sense. How do you pronounce your name? PKSE? Pixie? Howdy Pixie, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's it. I feel like I understand. Instead of returning here, honestly, I could switch this to a void function. Okay, and instead of going with a return function, I could go with a standard console output with an insertion operator that says something like times up exclamation. Okay, let's see, ending with a semicolon. Okay, that's because if we call a recursion inside console output, it will break from console output and lead to incomplete console output. Oh, I see, that actually does make sense. That said, instead of adding the standard console output here, I'll go ahead and add a different standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be my parameter of n, my initial number, with an insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. For example, if my player enters 5, then this is going to be 5. After this, let's go with something like my countdown function. I'm going to invoke it, go with n minus 1, ending with a semicolon. This is going to be my recursive case. Okay, is that how you spell recursive case? There we go. Okay, perfect. And then inside of my, let's say, main function, I go with a standard console output of my number. Let me instead just add my console output. Okay, I feel it is still a little vague. This is going to be my number parameter. There we go. Okay, you still have to return in the base case, yes. Okay, and then I go ahead and end that with a semicolon and return. Okay, if I hit Ctrl S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Enter a timer, I'll go with something like 5. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me go ahead and return. Let's return the standard console output. Okay, so I've returned the standard console. Can't I return it? Like just put return at the end top. Oh, I think I see. Let me put the return after my standard console output right here. Okay, I'm going to return. Okay, I think this should work. If I go with the Ctrl S to save the code and run the command, see, enter a number, I'll go with 5. Okay, perfect. Okay, I think I actually understand. Can't do that. Base case return 0. Honestly, I'll just regularly return because I didn't need 0 in my console output. Okay, actually my terminal. Okay, let me go ahead and paste this. Although I don't take credit for this question, return the next line. Okay, that does make sense. Yes, that's it. That's a clean hit, student. This is pure recursion in motion, elegant, minimal, and perfectly logical. Let's trace your code for number equals to 3. So if our countdown is 3, prints 3, calls 2, prints 2, calls 1, prints 1, calls countdown at index 0, base case triggers print times up, void to integer. Okay, then all calls return back to the stack quietly, no extra returns, no chaos, just beautifully structured logic. You've crossed the line. While recursion feels natural, most learners panic at these self-call. You didn't flinch, you made it work, guys. I don't take credit for this question. That says, now brace yourself because your next recursive task will test whether you truly understand how how the call stack builds and collapses. Next challenge, create a function reverse count integer that prints numbers from 1 up to n but using recursion, no loops allowed. Okay, I think I know how to do this. Okay, let's get Sensei/ChatGPT here. Hey, what's up? Howdy, Badu? I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, let me go ahead and delete everything. Let's start off by including a pair of anchor braces. I want to include IO stream. Next up, let's read the instructions. So it says create a function called reverse count that has a parameter of n. So I could go ahead and create a void. I could create like a void function called, let's say, reverse count. First count, and this is going to be having a parameter of n, so I'll go with n. Then I'll add a pair of curly braces. Okay, now inside the recursive function that prints numbers from 1 up to 10, but using recursion, no loops. So I could add a base case. Let's go with something like a standard console, actually not a standard console output, and if statement. So if a pair of parentheses, if my n is equal to, let's say 0. Okay, if mine is equal to 0, I'm going to end up with, actually, I'm going to add a pair of curly braces and do something. I'll add a standard console output. Honestly, instead of adding a console output, I could just return an ND function. Okay, next up. Okay, that prints numbers from 1 up to n. Okay, so let me go ahead and add a recursive case now. This is going to be my base case. Maybe I'll add a comment that says base case. There we go. Now, for my recursive case, I could do something. Let me go ahead and add a standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, this is going to be my n. So let me go ahead and print my n with another insertion operator. Actually, I'm just going to... Honestly, I could go with a / new line ending with a semicolon. Above that now, okay, I'm going to be adding my recursive case. So for my recursive case, I could invoke my reverse count function. Okay, add a parentheses. Do we have recursive function without return type? Honestly, we could have it. Wait, do we have recursive function without return type? Honestly, I could actually set this to be an integer too, because I feel like the void is like if we don't return anything at all. Huh. Integer. I can't go with integer. I should ask that to Sensei/ChatGPT, because I go with void reverse count and I return. The return basically ends my entire function. Actually, it ends my it ends my whole function. Okay, that is a pretty good question. I should actually ask that to Sensei/ChatGPT. That said, I go with reverse counts. Okay, let's go with my n parameter. I'll go with something like +1. Okay, so it keeps increasing. Honestly, I should go with -1. Okay, so let's go with n-1. My n keeps decreasing by 1. Standard console output. I feel like I'm doing something wrong because I have to go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if my number is 5. Huh. If n equals to 1, I'm going to return. Okay. This is going to be my recursive case. Honestly, I might just try what happens here. Okay, let's go with a main function. Let me go ahead and typecast, put a semicolon. Okay, how do Raul? I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, let's go with integer main, and then I'm going to be going with a pair of curly braces. I created a main function. Inside of my main function, I could create a number variable ending with a semicolon, and then let's see. Maybe let me go with a standard console output with an insertion operator that says something like enter a number. Okay, I'll end that with a semicolon. That said, let's go with a standard console input with an extraction operator. I want to extract my number variable. So I'll extract my number variable and that with a semicolon as well. And now, let me go ahead and invoke my reverse count function. Hiding Sourbridge. Is that how you pronounce the name, guys? I'm awful with name pronunciations. I feel like so bad when I sometimes pronounce you guys' names. I should work more on my pronunciations. That said, let's go with reverse counts. This is going to be my number variable as a parameter. I'll end that with a semicolon. And then lastly, let me go ahead and return 0, ending with a semicolon. Bro, you hey? Hey. Honestly, let me Control S to save the code. If I run the command, let's see what happens. So it says enter a number. What happens if I go with 5? I get 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're in the right track, guys. We're in the right track. I get 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's change that to 0. Now if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, if I go with 5, there we go, I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that does make a lot of sense because this is my initial n parameter, my initial variable of number that my player enters. That is kept at last. Above that, I go with my 5 minus 1, if that made any sense, guys. Okay, let's go with the Control A, Control C. Although I feel I need way more practice, guys. Okay, let me go ahead and paste this. Let's go with Shift Enter and say something like, let's say, it works, but I feel like I don't. But I feel like I don't understand it that well. That said, can I get? I just need more practice. That said, I just need more practice. ... Okay, let's see. Excellent. The fact that it works means your hands knows the moves. Now we train the brain. Let's break why it works step by step. This is crucial. Understanding recursion is all about the call stack. Say n equals 3. You call reverse count 3. N is not 0, so it calls reverse 2 before printing anything. Reverse count calls reverse count 1 before printing anything. Reverse count 1 calls reverse count 0 before printing anything. Reverse count 0 hits the base case, returns immediately. Bro, he's asking if you're gay. Guys, I get that so much in my stream. Like, I think I get it like at least 3 times in my stream. They ask you're gay, guys. I'm not gay. If less than 0 is safer, but in this case, it's the same. Oh, I see. Okay, that said, now the stack starts unwinding. Reverse count 1 resumes prints 1. Reverse count 2 resumes print 2. Reverse count 3 resumes print 3. I think I see. Notice how the printing happens after the recursive call. So the function appears in ascending order instead of descending order. That's the trick. Recursion lets you defer actions until the stack unwinds. Okay, think of it as stacking plates. You keep piling them up the recursive calls, then start unstacking, printing them once you reach the bottom. We can do a tiny exercise to cement this. Write a recursive function called SumDigits that takes a parameter of n, which is an integer, that calculates the sum of all digits in a number. For example, input 1 to 3, output 6, 1 plus 2 plus 3, okay. Input 7, output 7. Okay. Rules. No loops. Must use recursion. Handle 1 digit at a time. Okay, let me get some tasteless ChatGPT here. Do you have a Discord? Honestly, you guys could get access to the Discord by typing exclamation Discord on chat. I'll actually type it. So, exclamation Discord. Okay, Tamil, bro. Honestly, guys, I should learn more languages. I'm actually awful with like learning different languages. Okay, that said, let me go with the Control A, delete everything. Let me start off by including a pair of anchor braces. I want to include IO stream. Okay, that said, let's see. Okay, write a recursive function called subdigits with a parameter of n. So let me go ahead and create a void function called, let's say, SumDigits. So I'll go with SumDigits. There we go. With a pair of parentheses, this is going to be taking a parameter of integer n, which is going to be a number. And then I'll go with a pair of curly braces. That said, that calculates the sum of all digits, a number. So it calculates the sum of all digits. Okay, so all digits, not all inputs. So the input of 123 is going to give an output of 6. Okay, by the way, learning recursion on C++ is hardcore. Honestly, is it? I see. Okay, so let me actually have a base case. So let me add something like if, a pair of parentheses. Let's say something like if my n equals to 0. I'm going to do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces. And guys, I just realized something I absolutely forgot to eat today. Okay, I'm going to return, enter with a semicolon. That said, write a recursive function called SumDigits that calculates the sum of all digits. This is going to be my base case. It has to be integer. It has to be integer. Honestly, should this be an integer? Because I'm returning inside of my if statement to like end my if statement. No, the return does end my whole function. I gotta ask that this time when I send the code. That said, let's go with a recursive case right now. It calculates the sum of all digits. How do I get access to all digits? Okay, if I go with 1, 2, and 3. Honestly, that is a pretty good question. Let me actually ask that because I'm pretty sure I can't use regular console input for that. There was like a separate function for that. Let me go ahead and paste this, go with shift enter and say something like, so let's say I feel like I don't know what to do because when I type 1, 2, 3, it's one whole integer although in console input we can't type 1, 2, and 3 because it would just store one question mark. That said, I remember we needed a different keyword or function to get access to all elements or store all elements as inputs. Okay, if that made any sense. Guys, I don't know how to phrase it. Can you make Minecraft? Honestly, guys, I'm not that good. You can get access to the last digit by doing... Oh, modulus 10. I do remember learning that part in Python, and then you can get rid of the last digit by doing num equals to num divided by 10. Guys, I actually remember doing that when I actually learned Python, although I forgot how to do that. Integer bummer. Modulus 10 asterisk asterisk 1 sum this n plus n minus n modulus 10. Honestly, yeah, that does make sense. I did forget how to do that though. Okay, I might still read the instructions because I do remember actually working with that, like when I first started my streamings with Python recursion. That said, what else was I gonna say? Okay, let's just end this. Yes, that makes perfect sense, student. You're thinking critically, which is exactly what recursion demands. Here's the key. Even though 1, 2, 3 is a single string, you can still access each digit mathematically. No need to treat them as a separate input. You need a special input function. C++ will store 1, 2, 3 as a result. The trick is using division and a modulos to extract digits. There we go, guys. I remember doing this in Python. That said, n modulus 10 gives you access to the last digit, and divided by 10 gives you the number without the last digit. Example, n equals to 1, 2, 3, last digit equals to n modulus 10, which is 3, remaining numbers, n modulus 10, which is 12. So in recursion, you do this repeatedly. Okay, base case, if n is equal to 0, recursive case, return last digit plus some digits, remaining number. Mentally, it looks like this. Sum of all digits, 3 plus 12, 3 plus 1, 1 plus 0, 0. Okay, then stack unwinds 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals to 6. Now you can try rewriting some digits as recursive functions, okay, that returns an integer instead of void. Want to give it a shot? Honestly, I do want to give it a shot. Okay, let me get Sensei slash ChatGPT there. Okay, you do it until you get 0. Okay, that does actually make sense. Let me try it. So, first I have an if statement. That is my base case. Now, for my recursive case, let me read what Sensei said again. Okay, so modulus 10 gives you the last digit. Okay, so modulus 10 gives me last digit. So, I could do something like... my n modulus 10... should I invoke my sum digits? I think I should invoke my sum digits. So let's go with sum digits, a pair of parentheses. I'll go with something like n modulus 10. This gives me access to the last digit. Okay, ending with a semicolon. Okay, no need to treat them as separate inputs. You need a special input function. C++ will store them as an integer. The trick is using division and modulus to extract digits. So I have access to my last element here. I wanna add my last element from my second last element. So n equals to 1, 2, 3, last digit gives me 10, remaining number equals to n divided by 10. So in recursion, you do this repeatedly, recursive case, last digit plus the sum of my numbers. So first I gotta find the last digit. Okay, let me actually not invoke this yet. Okay, so I think this should go in a pair of parentheses. Let's add this in a pair of parentheses. That is my last digit. I'm gonna add that, invoke my function. Okay, this is going to be my remaining number. So let's go with n divided by 10. Bro, are you a college student? Honestly, yeah, I did start college, although I am a freshman. That's the reason my stream time has become like relatively lower because I have like a lot of stuff to actually work on. You can return without 0. I didn't know that. Honestly, yeah, if you return without 0, it just ends the function. If you return 0, that like gives us 0 and then ends the function. Okay. And this is my last digit. Okay. What if I change this to be an integer and then let's say return this? What happens if I do this? Yo, GG, how are you doing, Ivan? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, this does make sense. Return 10 modulus. N modulus 10 plus some digits and divided by 10. This gives me access to the last number, which is 3. This gives me access to the number without the last number. Okay, that does make sense. Okay. Mentally look at it. Okay, now I'll end that with a semicolon. Thing is, should I add a standard console output here? Okay, I could add a standard console output with an insertion operator. Although, I should add that before this. Okay, maybe let me go ahead and create a main function. So let me go with integer main, kind of a pair of parentheses. Wait, kind of close. Am I close? Did I like miss something? Okay, or is it like for your name? Is your name parentheses Ivan? Okay, so integer main. I'm going to do something. Let me go ahead and create a variable of number ending with a semicolon. Shouldn't you return 0? Honestly, I don't think I should return 0. Do it when you call the function. Do it when you call the function. About the return 0, I think if once my number is 0, I think it's the same even if I return 0 because any number plus 0 is the number itself. Okay, so I mean, I think it would be the same thing even if I went with return 0. Okay, that said, let's go ahead and add a standard console output with an insertion operator. I'm going to do something. I'll say something like enter a number. They enter a number, I'll end that with a semicolon, and then let's go ahead and add a standard console input with an extraction operator. I want to extract my number variable ending with a semicolon. Next up, let's go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This time, I'll go with something like your answer is... Okay, let's go with this here. Your sum is... Okay, and then I'll add another insertion operator and then invoke my sum digits function. Sum digits, add a pair of parentheses. The parameter is going to be of my number variable. And then I'll go with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. Recursion is so fun. I can actually tell, guys, it's actually pretty fun to like use your brains. It's the hard part is to actually learn it. Ever you faced memory leak? Honestly, I've never faced memory leak. Recursion practice, no for a while loop. Ooh, you cannot have a void return type with integer type function, so you have to return 0. Ooh, I see. Okay, so I have to return 0. You cannot have a void return type with integer type function, so you have to... Oh, is it mandatory? Okay, in that case, let me return 0. That said, let me go ahead and return 0 here as well. If I were to hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Enter a number with 1, 2, 3. I get 6. Okay, what if I went with something like 7? Let's see. It gives 7. Okay, let me go with the Control A, Control C, copy that, get /ChatGPT here. Okay, I do have a question. Let me paste this, go with Shift Enter, and ask a question. Let's say something like, let's say, someone from my stream said that it's necessary to return 0 in the base case, ... Although I did just return first without any zero, then changed it to return 0 with a semicolon. Is that mandatory or optional question mark? Let's see. Yo, I just saw your last stream like a week ago. Oh, I see. Okay, because it's integer function. Oh, I see. Ah, yes. This is a key point in recursion, and I'm glad you asked. For your sum digits function, the base case must return 0, not just return. Here's why. Your function has a return type of integer, so every path of execution must return an integer. If you just write return, that's like saying I returned nothing, which doesn't match up the type. Okay, some compilers will even give you a warning or error. Semantics that pronounces of problems sum digits with a parameter of n, adds the last digit and modulus 10 to the sum of the remaining digits, which n reaches 0. There are no more digits left, so the sum of nothing is 0. Oh, I see. Okay, that's why return 0 is both correct and necessary. Think of it like this. Recursion is a chain of promises. Each call says, I'll give you my result plus whatever comes from the next call. When you hit the bottom, the last promise must return a number. 0 is the neutral element for addition. Without it, the chain breaks. So yes, mandatory is for correct type-safe recursion here. If you want, we can now step it up. Slightly harder recursion problem that will really make you think about the stack and order of operations. Do you want me to give that? Let me say something like, no, let's say exclamation. Actually, let's go with dot dot dot. I do want to practice in this level for a bit longer because I feel like I didn't understand it completely yet. Dot dot dot. Bro, what are you doing? Honestly, I'm learning recursion. I'm trying to master recursion this stream. That said, recursion is not slow. There are optimizations that makes recursion as fast as loops. They're just another way to deal with code, and sometimes it's necessary. Try to remove the 0 and compile. The compiler will explain. Oh, I see. Let me actually try that. Okay, let's get sensei/ChatGPT here. That said, what happens if I return 0, hit Control S, and run the command? Bro, it's so interesting seeing people learn. Oh, I do get an error. Okay, main CPP return statement with no value. In function, returning integer, f permissive return. Oh, I see. What would have happened if this was like a void function? Okay, and then I remove this. Okay, I can't have this with a void function. Okay, let's just go with the control Z stuff. Okay, next up, let's get sensei/ChatGPT here. And guys, I feel so lucky because my stream is not lagging today. That said, good practice, people. We stay in the arena until the move becomes instincts. Let's do a slightly different recursion practice that's still beginner friendly but forces you to reason carefully. Question: write a recursive function called print odd numbers with a parameter of n that prints all odd numbers from n down to 1. Bro, I just learned how to sum and subtract. That's honestly pretty cool. That actually sounds honestly pretty cool. That said, rules: no loops, use recursion only if n is even. Skip it and go to the next lower number. Base case, stop when n is 0. Okay, example: input 7531, input 75. Okay, think carefully about how to skip even numbers while still calling the function recursively. Okay, I think I should do this. Okay, let's get sensei/ChatGPT here. What scenario would you use recursion over a loop? Okay, in C, you should tell him how long it takes you to code the problem so that he gives you a better advice. ChatGPT cannot track the time, so he assumes you did it instantly. Oh, I see. That actually does make sense. Okay, let's go with the controller, delete everything. That said, let me start off by including a pair of anchor braces. I want to include IO stream. Okay, next up, let me go ahead and read the instructions. So it says question: write a recursive function called print odd numbers, okay, which has a parameter of n, which is an integer. So let me go ahead and add an integer function called print odd numbers with a pair of parentheses. This is going to be integer n, and then I'll go with a pair of curly braces. That said, let's see, that prints all odd numbers from n down to 1. So it says down to 1. So I could add a base case here. Let's go with a if statement. If a pair of parentheses, if my n is equal to, let's say 0, I'm going to do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Oh, this is simple, but I can figure out what are you doing. But I can't figure out what are you doing. Honestly, I'm just working on mastering recursions. I did work with recursions in Python. That said, it's been like a long time since I did that, so I did want to review before I move on. That said, if my n is equal to 0, I'm going to go ahead and return 1 ending with a semicolon. Okay, that is my base case. Maybe I had a comment here that says something like base case. Okay, and then let me go down to... Okay, now for my recursive case, I gotta print all odd numbers from n down to 1. So to print all odd numbers, I could do something. Let's see. Okay, honestly, let me go with another if statement check. So I'll go with if a pair of parentheses. I'll check if my n modulus 2 is not equal to 0. Okay, and then I do create a variable as well. Let me go ahead and create a flag variable right here. So I'll go with something like a boolean of odd, which is initially going to be equal to false or set to false. So if my n is not equal to 0, I'm going to set my odd to be equal to true, ending with a semicolon. No need to do this. Oh wait, you're doing recursion, my bad. Honestly, yeah, I'm like working on mastering recursion. That said, odd is set to true. And now let's go with something. Let's add a recursive case now. Let's see. I could go with like an else odd is false. So let's go with something like else, a pair of curly braces, odd equals to false. Okay, learn to print Fibonacci series for a given number n was the best problem I had, which helped me learn recursion. Honestly, I do want to go over Fibonacci numbers as well. Okay, let me just zoom out a bit. Maybe I remove these extra spaces, they don't look that good. Okay, now I go with the recursion. So, firstly, I gotta print all numbers from 1, or actually from 7 all the way to 0. So let's go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I might go with another if statement, honestly. If a pair of parentheses, if odd. So if my odd is set to true, that's when I'm going to do this. Please just do n modulus 2 equals to 1, because this pissed me off. Honestly, that does make sense. Both actually works. If n modulus 2 equals to 1. Okay, let's see. If my number is odd, I'm going to go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This prints something. Let's see. I'll go with my number parameter with another insertion operator of a / new line which ends with a semicolon. I don't think that flag is necessary, bro. Isn't it? Okay, I could actually try it without the flag as well. That said, that is my regular console output. Now let's add a recursive case. For my recursive case, I could go with something like, why do you have a flag for odd even? Honestly, because I need to actually see if my number is false. If it is false, I print it. Okay, now for my recursive case. Let me go with my... Let's see. I could go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be inserting something. I'm going to invoke my function. This is going to be print odd numbers as function. Let's go with print odd numbers. Okay, a row of parentheses. I'll go with n minus 1. There we go. I'll end that with a semicolon. Honestly, I could go with a / new line and then end with a semicolon. Okay, now, outside my function, let me go ahead and, let's say, create a main function. So I'm going to go with integer main. And guys, here comes the lag. I hope my stream doesn't lag. So many geniuses in a single chat. Bro, do me a favor and space between if and parentheses. Oh, do we put space? I used to always put space. Stop printing everything. Guys, I couldn't read the whole message. I should fix Nightbot. Like, when so many caps come, just stop this thing. Stop printing everything and do debugging. Learn it. I beg you. Honestly, I could try that. No, but you can go with n minus 2. Oh, and you can skip even numbers. That actually makes so much... Already mic testing. Okay, let me go back to my gameplay screen, guys. Although, I mean, honestly, my lag is because my PC CPU isn't that good. That said, I am actually planning to get an actual PC. Once I do get it, that will fix my lag. That's it. How you doing, KV Cox? I appreciate you joining the stream. How you doing, Dev? I appreciate you joining the stream as well. You're moving a little too fast. You're trying for too many concepts, but you do you then. Honestly, I should stick to one. You're doing good. You will never please everyone in chat. It's lagging like hell, lagged out hard. Honestly, I feel like the lag is better. Okay, let's see. Let's go with integer main, a pair of parentheses. Let's see. Now, inside of a main function, I could go with a integer number, add a pair of actually add a semicolon, to take away the flag system and do the print if statement that checks for odd numbers. Bro, can you use using namespace std before main code so you can ignore writing std? Honestly, many people do say me to do that. The reason I actually don't do that is because some of you guys did say me that it is a bad practice to write that, because eventually when we actually have bigger projects and not using standard console output could cause name conflicts, because other libraries do have console output as well. Nah, man, even a beginner is better. What this guy's doing, even a beginner is better than. Honestly, guys, I do learn slow. Enter a number. There we go. Okay, you chatterbox again. Okay, let's go with my number. There we go. And then I will end up with a semicolon. Check if asterisk the. Okay, honestly, I could try that way as well. Okay, I'll go with a standard console input with an extraction operator. I want to extract my number variable ending with a semicolon. That said, let's see. Let's go with another standard console output. Honestly, I don't think I need to because I already have my console output here. I could just go ahead and invoke my print odd numbers as this function. The parameter is going to be my number ending with a semicolon. I agree with Shervin, you're moving too fast through coding. Am I? Okay, I could actually slow down. As you're printing the numbers in the middle of the function, you don't want to return anything, so better to use a void function. Oh, okay, that does make sense. I could actually use a void function. Okay, let me go ahead and change this to a void function. Okay, so that is void. I don't return anything. Okay, if there's nothing returning, the function just ends. If it equals to 0 ends. Okay, I go with an if statement here. Honestly, okay, let me go with a bunch of control Z's. Okay, there we go. Okay, let me go ahead and return 0. I do want to see if this actually works though. If I control S to save the code and run the command, okay, I do get a warning. Control reaches end of non-void function. Enter a number. What happens if I go with 7? 7. Huh, you can't use void function there. See, I appreciate you positively taking criticism, but bro, I think you can just stop repeating each and every word and just type without saying words, and also stop talking too much. Honestly, guys, I didn't even realize I was getting criticism. That said, you don't need else. Stop giving him bad advices, but using them together is the hardest part. Huh. Okay, let's go with the control A, control C. I might actually work on one concept before like moving to the different variations of like recursions, if that made any sense, guys. Okay, let me go ahead and paste this. Okay, go with shift enter and say something like, let's say I feel like I messed up ... Although people from my chat did say me to not have a flag ? Okay, let's see. Okay, yes, you're thinking too hard and that's the problem. Let's break it down. Return type. Your function is declared as an integer, but you don't actually need to return anything. You're printing, not calculating a number. Okay, so the return type should be a void. That also removes the need for return 1, standard console output, print the odd number. The flag variable boolean odd is unnecessary. Okay, you don't need a separate variable to check. Okay, the flag is unnecessary. You don't need a separate variable to check odd/even. Just check if number modulus 2 equals to 1 directly. Recursive call, you wrote standard console output print odd numbers n-1 that tries to print the return value of the function you don't need. Okay, which you don't need. You should simply call print odd numbers n-1 on its own, skipping every number. If n is even, you don't want to print it, but you still need to call the recursion. You still need to call the recursion with n-1. Otherwise, the return stops permanently. prematurely. Okay, here's the clean, correct structure in words before you write code. So we have a function. If n is less than 0, that's my base case. I want to stop. If n is odd, I print n. Okay, call print odd numbers, n minus 1. Always call recursion regardless of even or odd. Okay, no flags, no return values, just the flow of recursion and printing. Okay, I think I see, maybe. You're annoying, I'm leaving. Oh, I see. Okay, the recursion system requires you to return a value so that you can feed it back to the return statement. Oh, I see. Please do a remove. Please also remove your flag and move the printing logic in the if statement that checks if the value is being assessed in a odd number. Okay, actually, I do understand now. Okay, I feel where I was messing up was I wasn't actually understanding that properly. Okay, let me start off by including a pair of ankle braces. I want to include IO stream. Okay, next up, I got to create a function. So let's go with a void function. The reason I am going with a void function is because, let's see, because I'm adding a console output instead of returning anything. If I was doing maths inside of my actual function, then I would have to return. So let's go with something like print odd numbers. Okay, and then I'll add a pair of a pair of parentheses. This is going to be having a parameter of n here. Okay, and then I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Where are you from? Honestly, I do say that a lot, but some of you guys did say me to avoid saying from where I'm from. Although some of you guys did say me to actually say that as well. That said, currently I am in the United States, but I'm not actually saying that much these days. That said, I go ahead and add a void function that prints odd numbers, integer n. Okay, and then let's see. Let me go ahead and add a base case first. For my base case, let's see. I could do something. First, I add a if statement to check something. So I'll go with if a pair of parentheses. Learn debugging using breakpoints. I'm begging you. Honestly, I've never heard of breakpoints. Although many of you guys did say me to learn debugging. Is this debugging? Like there's a debug3/c++ file right beside where I run my code. Okay, that's it. So if my n is equal to 0, I'm going to do something. Let's go with a pair of curly braces. I am going to be returning. Okay, that's going to end my function. This is going to be my base case. So I'll go with something like base case. Okay, and then let me go ahead and add my recursive case now. For my recursive case, I'll add another if statement. If a pair of parentheses, let's say if my n modulus 2 equals to 1, I'll do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Okay, if my n modulus 2 equals to 1, if my number is odd, let me go with the standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to print my n with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. And then let's see, let me go ahead and add my recursion now. So to do that, I could go ahead and invoke my function here. Okay, so let's go with another standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to invoke my print odd numbers this function. Okay, I'll add a parentheses. This is going to be n minus 1. And then maybe I'll go in a new line, add another insertion operator. Should I return this part? It is a void function. I don't need to return. Base case needs to be made better. What if the input is negative? Handle those edge cases. Honestly, that also makes sense. If my n is less than or equal to 0, I return. Instead of returning, could I just add a standard console output with an insertion operator that says 1? Okay, I want to return 1 with another insertion operator with / new line ending with a semicolon. Oh, why does my standard console output here have like a red underline? Okay, what are you calling print or... Wait guys, did my OBS crash? Guys, is my OBS crashing or lagging? Why are you calling print or n minus 1 inside console output? Isn't that how we actually do it? Because like I invoked my function. Should I do this inside of my main function? Already mic testing. Okay, let me go to my gameplay screen. Guys, my OBS did crash. It like keeps crashing these days. That said, I am actually looking for an actual PC. I almost found it. I just gotta like actually build it. I'll definitely film myself building it and maybe post a shot or a video. That said, that would fix all my lag. it's void, it doesn't return anything, so you can put it inside console output. Oh, I see. It's void, it doesn't return anything. Okay, when sending print odd numbers to standard output, you're really printing the void which is returned. Oh, okay, so when I actually add my void function, okay, I think I understand. Okay, let me go ahead and add a main function. So I'll go with integer main, a pair of parentheses, and then I'll add a pair of curly braces. So inside my function, I'll create a integer numbers as variable ending with a semicolon, and then let's go with a static console output with an insertion operator. I'll say something like enter a number ending with a semicolon. Okay, and then let's go with something like a standard console input with an extraction operator. I want to extract my numbers as variable. Okay, that said, let me go ahead and invoke my print odd numbers inside of a standard console output. Okay, I'll go with an insertion operator. I'll go with print odd numbers. Okay, with a pair of parentheses. This is going to be my number parameter. Okay, I can't do it. Is it because it is returned? So you change the return type to integer? Okay, if I do change my return type to an integer, now I could go ahead and return something here. Let me go ahead, stop calling void function inside console output. Okay, so if we have a void function, we can add console outputs. Okay, that does, okay, I see. Let me go ahead and return, let's say 1. Okay, why are you changing it to integer? Honestly, because some of you guys did say me that if it is a void function, the void function basically means return. That's the reason we don't return anything, and we can't return inside of a console output. So to avoid returning inside of a console output, I change that to an integer. I return 1. Now after my if statement of my actual number, I do something. Okay, let me go ahead and add a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert my print odd numbers. Let me invoke my function. This is going to be n-1. Okay, with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. Okay, don't call it inside console output. Call it without anything. Simply call the function. Okay, you just need to call the function, not with console output. Okay, so let me call the function, end that with a semicolon, and lastly return 0. Okay, the point is you don't have to call it inside console output. Stop making it integer bad programming. Is it? Oh wait, does that mean I gotta just do this? n-1, Okay, and then I change that to void. Wait, is this what you guys mean? And then inside of my main function, I could go with a standard console output with an insertion operator of something like my number, but that is returned. Okay, I have that here. How do I display this on my screen? Do I need to return number? Chill, he's learning and he's doing it pretty good. Guys, I'm actually trying to... Oh my god, why do you keep calling the function inside console output? Guys, I don't even have console output. Okay, I did delete my console output. That said, print odd numbers with a parameter of number. Okay, let me actually think hard on what this means. So, it's correct that I have a void function here. If I have a void function, void means return, so I don't need to return 1 here. Instead, let me go ahead and add a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert 1 with another insertion operator of a / new line. There we go. So if n is less than or equal to 0, I return 1. Actually, let's return 0. Okay, that is my base case. For my recursive case, if my number is odd, I want to display my number. So I have a standard console output. Why do you keep calling the function inside console output? Function inside. Okay, so I just need to avoid calling my function inside my console output. Should I go with something like, let's say, a standard console output with an insertion operator? I want to insert my n with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. Does that make sense? Okay, if I hit Ctrl S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Enter a number, I'll go with something like 7. I get 7, 7. How is the loop going to run when he calls the function again if he doesn't return anything? I'm confused on recursion as well now. Why did you print n twice? Standard. Okay, this is the first n, so this is my actual n, which is 7. Since my 7 is odd, if it skips 7, this is going to be the next number. So after I subtract n, so this is going to be 7 minus 1, which is 6. This is going to print 6, and then when this becomes 5, it's going to print 5. That's what I thought. Although I think I thought it wrong. If this was an integer, let's go with a bunch of control z's. I want to test something. What happens if that was an integer? I just invoke my function. Now if I hit control s, no, second n won't become 6. No case for when there is an even. I see. Main warning, control reaches at non-void. What if I go with 7? I get 7. It reaches non-void. That is return 1. Should I return my statement? Is that how... Does that work? Okay, that's not how it works. Huh. Should I return n? I feel like I'm not thinking the right way. Your code stopped before because n became 6 and you didn't handle it. I feel I'm thinking about it the wrong way. Honestly, let me go with the control A, control C, copy that, get say slash ChatGPT here. Let me go ahead and paste this, go with shift enter. Let's say I feel like I messed up again, ... question mark. Let's see. Okay, haha, yes, but this time you're very close, student. Let's break why this still isn't perfect. Return type problem, your function is declared integer print or integer n, and you're using return 1. In the base case, you don't need to return anything at all because your function's job is printing, not calculating. The return type should be void, printing the recursive call. You don't standard console output. Okay, this is wrong because print odd numbers is function and -1 doesn't return a value. You're trying to print nothing as if it were a number. Just call the function by itself. Skipping everything, skipping even numbers right now. If n is even, the recursion never happens because it's inside the if n modulus 2 equals to 1 block. That means every number break your recursion, okay? The recursive call must happen outside the if statement. Okay, so the function always counts. Conceptual structure in words, function print odd numbers, and if n is less than 0, stop base case. If n is odd, print n, call print odd numbers, n minus 1, always even if n is even. Okay, and guys, brother, stop using ChatGPT, run it and find the problem. Honestly, lag, give me a sec, guys, let me restart my OBS. Already, mic testing. Okay, perfect, guys, that should fix the lag. He's using AI as a tool only, at least. Honestly, that does make sense. The reason I do use ChatGPT is not to get like the actual code's answer, because that wouldn't make sense, guys. Because if I did that, then there was no point of learning. That said, I do use ChatGPT just to learn because I feel it's much better if I get some help instead of just like break my head or like exhaust my brains figuring the question out. That said, let's see where I was messing up. Okay. So this should be a void function. The reason this is a void function is because I'm not printing. I don't want to return anything. If n is 0, let's go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, I want to return 0 with another insertion operator of a / new line. There we go. And then if my n is 2, I'm not going to be adding a console output here. And what I print must go outside my if statement. The recursion can happen inside of my if statement, because what if the number is even? Let me go ahead and paste that here. Remove this if statement. Let me remove the new line. Okay, this is my recursive case. So print numbers n minus 1. Let me go ahead and okay, let's go with something like a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to print something. Let's go ahead and print my n with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. That said, I print odd numbers n minus 1. This changes my actual parameter here. Now, if I were to print it again, let's go with something like, maybe, honestly, let me add this in a pair of parentheses and get a if statement here. Copy that. Okay, if my n modulus 2 is equal to 1, I'll go with a pair of curly braces and then do this. Only if my number is odd. And after my recursion, I go with another if statement. If a pair of parentheses, you slightly panic when you get too many suggestions. Take it slow, run same code with different inputs. If you want, you can print at every step and see what's going on, or use debugger, you learn better. Honestly, that does make sense. When like I get so many recommendations, I'm like, who would you try? Okay, I feel like you should open a website, Excali Draw, and try to draw what you're trying to do. That does make sense. I could actually try that later. Okay, so if my n modulus 2 equals to 1, I'm going to display this all over again. I think this makes sense. This is my recursive case. There we go. Okay, I think that actually does make sense. Inside a main function, I did invoke this. If I were to control S to save the code and run the command, why not using namespace std instead of std? Honestly, the reason I don't use that is because in bigger projects, if we don't use standard console output, it could cause name conflicts because other libraries do have console output as well. That said, let me enter something like 7. Okay, is this like a recursive error? Huh, I can't even return 0 here because it's a void. Okay, what happens if I just return? If I control S again and run the code, if I go with 7, it's way safer to do as he does. Okay, 7, 5, 3, 1, 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, they are all odd numbers. Guys, I'm getting closer. I feel like I'm getting closer. Run it in debugger mode, put breakpoint and start at the starting of the function. Guys, I've honestly never tried using debugger. By breakpoints, do you guys mean like that dot? Is that break? Oh, it is a breakpoint. If I run the code again, I hit 7. Okay, it doesn't do anything. Honestly, I feel this should be equal to 0. Now if I save the code and run the command, if I go with 7, why does it still print after what it goes with 1, 3, 5, 7? If my n equals to 0, oh, if it's less than or equal to 0, because 1 is odd, then it goes with 0. The reason you had, that's not how you should do it. The reason you had double output because you call print statement after recursion? Did I? Oh, okay. What happens if I delete that, go with Control S? Now if I run the code, let's see what happens. Breakpoint inside function, not at header. How do we add it inside function? There we go. Okay, that works. Okay, that makes so much sense. Recursion should be called at the end of the function. I see, you're printing it twice. That makes sense. Although I haven't ever used these breakpoints. I should try it. Okay, let's go with the Control A, Control C. Let me get Cincy/ChatGPT here. That said, let me go ahead and paste this. Go with Shift Enter and say I did get help from my chat, so I don't take credit for this question. ... Okay. That said, I honestly should practice recursion with the same topic, just different values, so I get a gist of it before moving on to a new concept, if that made any sense. Don't delete, put it above recursion. Ooh, I see. Hi, howdy Goose, I appreciate you joining the stream. Is your name pronounced as Goose or like Gause? Guys, I'm so bad at pronunciations. That said, yes, finally, this is clean, correct, and perfectly recursive. Look at this. Print stops at 0, odd numbers print correctly, recursion always progresses downwards. Okay, let me actually add a comment here. I want to say something. Okay, let me say ... and go and Shift Enter and say one more thing. So say another quick question. I thought that void functions don't need to return anything, but I have a return inside of my void function. Question mark. Let's see why does that happen. Excuse me, guys. When you're at a breakpoint, when you're at a breakpoint, the code reaches that line. It stops and shows you what happens on each step, so you put it inside the function and not the header. I actually might try that after the stream. Yes, you finally got the logic flow correctly, and yes, that's why your function works perfectly. No shame in asking for help. The important thing is you understand it fully. Now that you reinvent the wheel every time, about your question, void functions in C++ do not need to return a value. You can write return in a void function if you want to exit early, but you cannot return a value like 1 or return. Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. That would be a compiler error. Think of it like this. A void function is a DR. Is that how I pronounce it? A DR? Not a calculator. It performs an action, but it does not give anything back. Returning a value would be like asking a soldier to fight and deliver a letter at the same time you only asked it to fight. Since you want more practice, here's a new recursion challenge. On the same countdown type question, write a recursive function, print even numbers, integer that prints all even numbers from n down to 1, rules, no loops, base case, stops at 0 or less, prints only even numbers, try not using any flags or extra variables, just the recursion and modulo check. Okay, let's get sensational ChatGPT here. Yes, you have to return. It simply says the compiler to go back. Honestly, now that makes sense, because like first when I added return here, I was like, I thought that we don't return in void functions. This doesn't make any sense. Now it makes sense. Since I'm not returning anything, I'm just ending my function soon. Think of the code as a person who goes through each line and does what is returned. When you call the function, that person went inside return statement as the person to go back, not take something back. Okay, that actually makes sense. Let me start off by including a pair of ankle braces. I want to include IO stream, ask ChatGPT to help you learn debugging. Actually, I might do that next stream. Okay, next up, let me go ahead and create a function called print even numbers that has a parameter of integer. So I could create a void function. The reason it is a void function is because I'm not doing math inside of my function. I'm just having it for a console output. So let's go with a function. This is going to be called something like print even numbers. Print even numbers. There we go. Which is going to be having a parameter of n that is going to be an integer. And then I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Let's see. That prints all even numbers from n down to 1. So I could start off with a base case. Stop procrastinating. Learn debugging from start is better. Trust me. Honestly, I'll try that like ASAP. Okay, that said, let me go with something like an if statement. So I'll go with if, a pair of parentheses. If my n is less than or equal to 0, I'm going to do something. I'll add a pair of curly braces and return. I want to end the function once that happens. This is going to be my base case, so I'll go with something like base case. There we go. Now, under my if statement, let's see what else. I got to print all even numbers from n down to 1. Okay, so first let's go ahead and add a if statement. So if a pair of parentheses, if my n modulus 2 is equal to, let's say 1, I'll do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and then let's say I'll add a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be printing my n with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. Okay, now let's work on my recursive case. For my recursive case, I could go ahead and invoke my function. It's called print even numbers. I'll just copy that and then paste it here. Add a pair of parentheses. Now inside my parentheses, I'm going to go with n minus 1. Okay, guys, I hope the stream doesn't start lagging again because I feel the lag. There we go. And then let me end that with a semicolon. Bro, try making the code that use recursion to solve a 4-number password cracking. Honestly, I've never tried that. I do want to go through a basic, but that does sound pretty fun. Let me just restart my stream real quick. Already, mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Guys, I feel I should restart the stream before it starts lagging even more. Numbers have odd, even, and negative. You have to think you have handled every type of number. Let's see. So I think I've handled every kind. This number checks if it's... Oh, this should be 0. I'm going for even numbers. There we go. You have less than or equal to 0 for negative, modulus 2 for odd. What about even? Okay, since I honestly didn't say me to add even numbers, I could actually do that, but that's like a special bonus. Like a cherry on top. Okay, that's it. I'll go with another if statement in that case. Actually, I'll just go with an else clause. Else a pair of parentheses. Let's add a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is gonna say something like and with a forward slash new line ending with a semicolon. And then I could add another insertion operator that does say this is odd. Actually, this is going to be even. There we go. And I add another insertion operator. This says that it's odd. Okay. Next up, let's go ahead and add a main function. Howdy, goofball. I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, let's go with something like integer main function, and then I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Now, inside of my pair of curly braces, let me go ahead and let's say add a standard. Actually, let me create a variable for integer. So I'll go with integer number, and then let's add a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be something like, let's see, enter a number. Okay, and then I'm going to end that with a semicolon. That said, let me go with a standard console input with an extraction operator. I want to extract my number variable ending with a semicolon. Okay, now inside of my main function, let me go ahead and invoke my print even. Did I spell it correct? Oh, I spelled it wrong here. This is going to be print. There we go. Okay, let me change that to print as well. There we go. And then let me invoke my print even numbers function here. Add a pair of parentheses. This is going to be my numbers variable ending with a semicolon. Bro, drink some water. Honestly, I feel like I'm pretty thirsty. Actually, I feel like I'm pretty dehydrated. That said, let me go ahead and return 0 ended with a semicolon. If I would hit Ctrl S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Enter a number. I'll go with something like 10. Even, odd, even, odd, even, odd. Okay, honestly, I want to actually separate the numbers. So let me just copy this part, delete this else clause from here. Now, after my recursion does happen, I'm going to do something. This is going to be even numbers. Let me go ahead and delete this part. And before my if statement, I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to say even. Maybe I'll go with 4 hyphens. There we go. With another insertion operator of a forward slash new line ending with a semicolon. Then outside my, after I'm done with my recursive case, let me actually add a comment here that says recursive case. Let me go ahead and add another if statement. So I'll go with another if statement. If a pair of parentheses, let's say if my n modulus 2 is equal to 1, if my number is odd, I'm going to do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces and then paste this. Although before I do that, let's go with another standard console output with an insertion operator. I'm going to add 4, let's say 4 hyphens. This is going to be odd. Maybe capitalized. There we go. Another 4. And then let's go ahead and add another insertion operator of a forward slash new line ending with a semicolon. Okay, I feel this is perfect. If I hit Ctrl S to save the code and run the command, it says enter a number. I'll go with 10. Guys, this doesn't look like what I planned it to. You didn't learn from the last code not to call anything after recursive call. Those calls will work as you expect. You still haven't understood recursion. You can add a new line to any string like, oh, I see. That actually does make sense. Huh. Okay, so I don't print my events. Okay, let's go with the Control S and run the code again. Okay, let me go ahead and add 10 here. Why are there like so many? Okay, these are even numbers. maybe I copy that, get that outside of my function, and print it somewhere here. Oh, for odd numbers, I could add another recursive case. That would make sense. Okay, now's the time to use the debugging. Honestly, I didn't figure that out yet. I should actually figure that out ASAP. Make another function for odd numbers. That actually makes sense to make another function. Okay, let's go with 10. These are my even numbers. Okay, perfect. Let's go with the control A, control C, copy that. And I feel like it's the same way to make another function for odd numbers as well. That does make sense. But the breakpoint line number 4. But breakpoint at line number 4 and run the debugging mode. Okay, let me actually try that. Let me get sensei/ChatGPT here. Let's go to line number 4. I added a breakpoint. It says debug file. I get this kind of stuff. It says C++ GCC build. I haven't set this up yet. I don't know if I have to like set this up or something. Okay, I'll definitely like check that after the stream if I have time, because after the stream I do usually do my college stuff. That said, yes, that's perfect, student. Look at that. No flags, no unnecessary returns, recursion flowing smoothly, and the logic is bulletproof. Here's what happens if you enter 6. 6, even, print 6, 5, skip, Okay, you're starting to really feel the flow of recursion, how the stack builds and unwinds, and how actions happen either before or after recursive call. If you want, we can do one more recursion twist that combines printing and calculating both skills together, but moving to a new concept. It'll really cement your intuition. Okay, let me say something like this. Let's say, maybe drink some water, guys. I'm kind of dehydrated. Okay, good. Now we're okay, good. Now we take the next step into the fire. Howdy KV Cooks, I appreciate you joining the stream. Just copy the whole function of even and paste below. Just change something like n modulus 2 equals to 1. That actually does make sense. I do want to try that though. Okay, good. Now we take the next step into the fire. Here's your challenge. Question: write a recursive function called sum even numbers. Do you remember when you put a console output statement after recursive call, you had weird output? Give that code to GPT and ask him what happens to the code after the recursion call. Then you'll see. Oh, honestly, I could actually try that. Okay, so let me go ahead and actually just go with a bunch of control Z's, because I did add that before. Okay. Let me just go ahead and remove this part. There we go. Okay, and then remove my odds from here and evens from there. There we go. Okay, now if I were to go with the control A, control C to get sensei/ChatGPT here. Okay, go all the way down and say something. Let me go ahead and paste this. Go with Shift Enter and say, so let's say before I, excuse me guys, start that question. Excuse me guys again. Someone from my chat sent me to ask you what happens if I add a console output after my recursive case, question mark. Okay, let's see. I had C++, use Rust. Honestly, I was eventually planning to learn Rust as well. That said, haha, yes, this is an important recursion trick, student. When you add a console output after the recursive call, you're doing something subtle, but the action happens on the way back up to the call stack instead of on the way down. Let me illustrate what's your current flow for n-3. So I print even numbers 3 and equals to 3, not 0. If even, no call, print even. Okay, print 1. Base case return. After recursion, n equals to 1 and modulus to 1, print 1. After recursion, n equals to 2 and modulus 2 equals false, nothing. After recursion, So the order of printing changes depending on whether it's before or after the recursive call. Before recursion, prints only the way down. Oh, countdown style. After recursion, prints upwards. Okay, that does make sense. I see. So we start with 3, end with 1 if recursion is below our number, okay? And then if after a recursion call, so after I have a recursion call, if already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. How are you doing? Or Waynix, I appreciate you joining the stream. That's what you had before when you did odd numbers. There you go, guys. This should fix the lag. Oh, I see. That's what you had before when you did the odd numbers. I think I see. That actually makes sense now. So basically what this actually means is 7531 and then 1357 before recursion called it 7 to 1. After recursion call it became 1 to 7 because your code actually goes backwards. Ooh, that actually does make sense. Okay, I can't even phrase, guys. That actually does make sense. You remember me from yesterday? Honestly, I do remember you, Ray. Okay, who wants to become a DevOps engineer? Okay, let's read the instructional based question though. Let me scroll all the way up. Okay, so let me get Sensei back here. Okay, let's see the question. I forgot to read the question. Let me just extend this. Okay, so question is write a recursive function called sum even numbers that calculates the sum of all even numbers from n down to 1. No loops, use recursion. If n is odd, skip it and continue recursion. Return the sum as integer. Okay, so I'll need an integer function in this case, not a base function. Okay, so to do that, I could do Fibonacci series. It makes you use 2 recursions. Honestly, I do want to actually do Fibonacci. I'll actually try that maybe after this question. Okay, that said, let me start off by including a pair of anchor braces. I want to include IO stream. Okay, and then let me just remove this. Okay, there we go. Okay, next up I got to create a function. So let me go with an integer function. This is going to be called sum even numbers. I'll add a pair of parentheses. This will be taking a parameter of n, which is going to be an integer. So I'll go with integer n. What are you doing today? Honestly, I'm trying to master recursion today. That's it. Soon I am going to be moving on to object-oriented programming, but I thought it'd be a pretty good practice to go with recursion. Guys, let me just restart my OBS before it starts laggy again. Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Guys, once I actually get the PC that I was looking for, that's gonna honestly fix like almost all my lags, and I could again start multi-streaming as well. That said, if my sum is even, I'm gonna do something. Actually, I created an integer function. Let's add an if statement for my base case. So I'll go with if, a pair of parentheses. Let's say if my n parameter is either when will you get that PC? Honestly, I'm going to get it, I think, by maybe around next week-ish, because I need to even learn how to make it. I'll definitely stream myself or record myself building that PC, guys. I hope I don't mess it up, because I did watch like a few tutorials, like a few hour-long tutorials. Okay, so if n is less than or equal to 0, I'm going to do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces and return 0, okay, ending with a semicolon. And then, let's see, I could go with a recursive case. This is going to be my base case, so I'll go with a comment that says base case. For my recursive case, let's read the instructions again. At least for this, do debugging, you're throwing away a really useful skill. Honestly, I don't know how to debug, because if I go here, like, if I, like, shrink this up, okay, maybe right there, and get this here. How do you move this? There we go. Okay, if I do get this here, I hope you guys can see the whole thing. If I like actually go here and click debug the C file, I get this. It says I probably didn't set it up. I should actually try that off stream. That said, let me restart OBS again. Already mic testing, mic testing. What are you streaming now? Honestly, right now I'm actually streaming on Recursion wait, what are you streaming on now? Okay, honestly, right now I'm streaming on my mini PC. I feel the CPU is like, it's too heated up for this. Just click first option. I should actually research some more on that, guys, because I need to like actually watch a few tutorials on how to do that. That said, let's see. I gotta return the sum of all even numbers. So 6 plus 4 plus 2. To do that, I could go ahead and add a recursive case now. Show us the mini PC if it's possible. Honestly, guys, I don't think it's possible because like my webcam is connected to my mini PC, which is behind of my like 4 separate monitors here. And like I feel like because I didn't even connect like an Ethernet cable to my mini PC, so if I actually remove it, I'll have to like pull all the wires up here. That's it when I'm actually like make a video of me building that PC. I'll definitely show you guys my previous setup versus my new setup. Okay, with that said, let me go ahead, bring a mirror. Guys, I don't have a big mirror. I just have like a mirror in my restroom that's like a human-sized mirror, if that made any sense. Okay, so let's go ahead and do something. Let's add a recursive case. So I'll add an if statement. If a pair of parentheses, let's say if my n modulus 2 equals to 0, if my parameter of n is even, I'll go with a pair of curly braces and I'll do something. What am I going to do? I'm going to get the sum of my n. Okay. Let's do something like, maybe can I return inside this? Okay, I'm going to return, let's say, sum of all even numbers. Add a pair of parentheses. Okay, I'll go with something like n minus 1. Okay, although before I invoke my function here, I'm gonna be going with n. Okay, so I gotta multiply it. Is it multiplied? I gotta add it. So n plus sum of all even numbers and minus 1 ending with a semicolon. Make a photo with your phone and show us. Honestly guys, I'll definitely show you guys once I'm actually building a PC. Like, it could be a nice little surprise. Okay, that said, let me go ahead and create a main function. So I'll go with integer main, add a pair of parentheses, and then let's see, I could go with something like a pair of parentheses. Inside of my main function, let me go ahead and create an integer variable of number ending with a semicolon. Now show us right now, just make a photo and show us. I guess, okay. Okay, give me a sec guys, let me just go here. Although guys, don't judge my mini PC, I haven't cleaned it in a while. Let me just take a quick little picture. Right there. Okay, let me off my blur filter real quick. Okay, let's see if everything's coming. There we go. Okay, so guys, basically that's my mini PC. If you guys can like actually see it, let me actually go with my OBS. I don't know if you guys can even like see it. So that's my mini PC. It just has like a bunch of wires connected to it. Okay, and guys, ignore the papers. I am using like my bed as a table because I did like sacrifice my bed, guys, for like adding actually my monitors and everything. That said, let's go with a standard console output here. What if it's odd? If it's odd, I just skip the number. Okay, please listen to me. You'll get stuck on this problem. Don't ask ChatGPT. Add more print statements to see what exactly is happening. Actually, I could do that. Lol, that small thing. Honestly, I just like call it a mini PC because it's like a tiny PC. Okay, let me open my stream on my phone real quick. Okay, let me get that right here. Okay, create a flag integer initializer with 0 and then add every even number you find while running the recursion function, and in the end print the value of the flag variable as the sum. Okay, I could actually add multiple print statements, although I didn't understand that part. That said, let's go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert something. Let's say something like enter a number. Okay. Oh wait, hold up. Okay, actually, never mind. I think it's pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna enter a number, and then let's go with the standard console input with an extraction operator. I want to extract my number variable ending with a semicolon. That said, let me go ahead and invoke my sum even numbers as function. So I'll go with sum even numbers, a pair of parentheses. This is going to be my number variable. Drink some water, bro. Honestly, I'm kind of dehydrated. I should actually drink some water. Guys, I feel like I should be more hydrated. Okay, there we go. Okay, that said, I did invoke my function. Let me go ahead and return 0. Don't listen to them. Was I? Guys, am I going correct? Okay, if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see. It says CPP warning, control reaches the end of non-void function. So it says return type. Okay, it says line 11. It does say enter a number. I'll go with something like 7. Okay. It says line 11. So like right here, do I need to return something here? Let me go ahead and return n plus some even numbers. Would this work? N minus 1. Okay, ending with a semicolon. create a count for number not using loop. Create a count for number not using loop. Your function returns the numbers, so now you have to add it inside console output. Oh, okay. I think I see. Your function returns the number, so now you have to add it inside of your console output. Oh, okay. Let me remove my if statement from here, and then inside my function here, once I invoke my function, let me do something. I'll go with the if statement. If a pair of parentheses, I'll check if my let's say if my number, should I add my if statement inside of my integer? I returned that way. Let's go with a bunch of controls east. Okay, so I have this function here. I do return this. Return n plus. Okay, so when I invoke my function, should I actually go with an if statement here? Or maybe just a standard console output with an insertion operator? My sum even numbers with another insertion operator. Oh wait, should I go with like a total variable? Wait, hold up guys, hold up. Let me go with something like a total variable which is equal to 0 for the time being. I'll end that with a semicolon. This is going to be integer. Okay, you have to catch the return in main, that's it. Okay, and then I'm gonna instead of going with the return, I'll go with total equals to this thing, and then I'm going to return my total. Okay, and then I go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. What happens if I hit Control S now? What will you do with your old PC if you build a new one? Honestly, I don't know. Maybe I'll give it like to my sister or something. Hey guys, hey, if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, enter a number, I'll go with something like 7. I get 0. Because total is 0. Doesn't this modify my total? How many hours do you spend coding? Honestly, before my college started, I used to spend like 10 hours coding. Like I used to wake up, start coding, and then head to bed, and then start that every single day. That's it. Ever since my college, I do spend, the only time I do code is when I stream, because off stream I do work with my college stuff. Okay, let him try. If it doesn't work, will help. You have to make it a global variable to keep on resetting to 0 on every recursion. Oh, I see. It only modifies if your number is even. Okay, so let's make this a global variable. Okay, let me paste it right here. What operating system will you install on your new PC? Honestly, some of you guys did say me to install Linux, and some of you guys did say Windows, so I am kind of confused on what to do. I do want to go with like an operating system that works for everything. You guys did say Linux is mostly for programming and less gaming. I do want it to be like that, has everything in it. Okay, so I go with standard console output. Linux. Honestly, I could try Linux. Okay, that's not it. You can say integer total equals to 0 in recursive program. In recursive. Okay, so you can say integer equals to 0, Linux all the way. I could actually try it, guys. Okay, that's not it. You can't say integer equals 0 in a recursive program. I cannot do that. Oh, I see. Okay. In that case, it will work. Run it. Will it work this time? If I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, you can do both Linux play and code. Oh, can I? I heard somebody said me in my stream last time that I cannot play games in Linux. One man, stop thinking and run and see the output yourself. So it is 0. I ask the user for a number. Okay, standard console output, that is my number. I've returned total. My total is being modified here. Why are you live at midnight? Honestly, guys, it is like 3:14 p.m. for me. Okay, let's see. You didn't handle odd case. Oh, didn't I? That is... Okay, that is even. If it is odd, it should skip automatically because I'm just going with even. It's 7 is odd. You don't do anything. You're not modifying anything. Wait, what happens if I change it to 6 in that case? Unexpected. Wait, hold up, guys. Did I mess something up? There we go. What if I go with 6? If I go with 6, I get 6. I'm doing something wrong in my recursive case. Total equals to n plus. So, my n, if it's 6, I want to add my n up with my n minus 1 only if it's even. Guys, something doesn't seem right. Okay, let's go with a control C. No, not skip. It should only skip adding into the total. It should still call some even numbers n minus 1. What are you trying to do? Honestly, I'm just trying to learn recursion. That's it. I want to get it out. I'm trying to make a recursion program that only that only gives me the sum of all even numbers of my number. When you did 6, it added 6 to a total, and it became 5. It returned total equals to total plus n. Would the plus n work? Okay, if I had control S to save the code and run the command, if I go with 6, guys, I don't even know if this is correct. Let me actually go with something like 4. Let's try 4. Don't give it a chat GPT. Okay, let's see. Okay, don't work with global variable. It's bad practice and you don't need it. I don't need it. Honestly, I think I don't need it. Let me remove my total from here. Guys, give me a sec. Let me restart my OBS real quick. Already, mic testing. You're making progress. Don't ruin it by using ChatGPT. Guys, I think I want in that case. Okay, let me remove the integer global variable. If I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see. Okay, did I highlight something? Okay, let me copy this part. Copy that. Paste it here. Plus n. Now if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command. Okay, good. Use else sum even n minus 1. Else. Okay, let's go with something like 4. I get 20. I'm pretty sure all the even numbers won't give me 20. You still need to recurse if it's odd. I need to even look for the odd. I thought that it just skips the odd because I just have an evens case here. Else. Okay, let's add an else. So I'll go with else, a pair of curly braces, some even numbers. I invoke my function, n minus 1, ending with a semicolon. Okay, then do I return n or some plus n? If I Control S again and run the code, let's see what happens. You only have recursion when it's even. Do we need it for both? Okay, I get 42 now. No, now what you did, you call recursion twice when it's even. While n is less than 0, d equals to n modulus 10. If d modulus 2 equals to 0, s plus d n equals to n divided by 10. Total equals to total plus n. Some even numbers. Remove the third recursion. You just need to return things and remove the last line. You don't need recursion after else. So I don't need recursion after else. Okay. So I don't need recursion after else. Remove third recursion. Okay, that is a third recursion. Okay, if you can make it a poll, if you use Windows or Linux on your new PC, but I'd honestly go with Linux. Honestly, yeah, that's a good idea. Line 17, remove. Okay, remove line 17. Now if I hit Control S and run the code, let's see, enter a number, I'll go with 7. I get 7. No need the last line. Don't I need the last line? Remove the entire line 7. Shouldn't I like return anything? Because it's an integer. If I go with Control S to save the code and run the command, it says warning, control reached end non-void function. I do need to return something. Oh, I could go with an empty return. Okay, let me try an empty return. Now if I go with Control S to save the code, total equals to total plus some even numbers and modulus 10. Return n in base. Error. Return n in base. So let me go ahead and return n in my base case. Remove this. No, you already returned in an if/else. Don't worry. It's warning. I see. Guys, I do want to blow my nose. It's like congesting my whatchamacallit. Okay, let's go with 7. Huh. So I returned n in base case. What happens? Okay, let me actually try creating a total variable. So I'll go with integer total, which equals to 0. And then I change this to return 0. Then let's go ahead and return. There we go. Return, let's say my total plus n. Okay, ending with a semicolon. That said, instead of going with something like this, I could go with, let's say, total equals to okay, now for it, control S to save the code. Return the things in if statement. Return the things in if statement. Return inside of line 11. Return inside of line. Okay, already mic testing. Guys, my OBS just crashed. Don't use total, it won't work in recursion. I see. Okay, so let me go ahead and remove total. Remove the total from here. And then in my return right here, I'm gonna just return my n. Okay, so return everything in each case. So everything in each case. Dude, if it's even, then return n plus. If it's odd, only return. Oh, okay, wait. So if it's even, n plus. If it's odd, just return this. I mean, return total in base. Wait, should I return total? Like, guys, I removed my total. Okay, let me go ahead and control S and run the code. Let's see what happens. Enter a number. I'll go with 7. I need to return something. Maybe I'll go with bunch of control Z's. Return total. I do want to try what happens if I do this. Return always in each case. This returns 7. I go with total plus n. Instead of total in that case, let me go ahead and remove total. Oh, I think I see. Let me go ahead and return here. Would that make sense? Return in each if slash return inside the if and also inside else, not outside. Just add return in front of both cases. Just add return n plus some. Okay, don't return outside. Okay, do you guys mean something like this? This actually does make sense if I do this. Okay, now if I control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Enter a number, I'll go with 7, 12. Guys, is the math even correct? Don't return, just add return n plus. Okay, this makes so much more sense. I was returning after my, after my n plus this. Guys, I need to make sure the math is correct. I'll go with some easy numbers. Okay, let's go with an easier number. True. Okay, let's go with something like 4. This gives me 6 because 1 is an even number. Okay, 2 is an even number. That's 4. Okay, I think it's correct. Okay, I'll go with the control C, copy that. Guys, I should work more on my math. My math is kind of awful. Okay, that said, let me go ahead and get this here. Paste it, go with control shift Z and say, let's say, this code works, although I don't take credit for this question because my stream did. Actually, my chat did help me. My chat did help me. ... That said, can I get more questions? Lag? Give me a sec, guys. Let me already mic testing. Okay, this should fix the lag. Now rewrite it iteratively because DP. Honestly, I think, yeah, it would be pretty easy to write it iteratively. I mean, iteratively. Is that how you pronounce it? Okay, let's go with format lag. Okay, now. Okay, let's see. Okay, that said, it's gonna honestly be pretty easy to write it using a for loop or like a while loop because like I just got to get my number and then go with for every number inside of my number. I go with number minus 1. Okay, let's see. Okay, yes, exactly, student. Look at that. You just combined recursion plus conditionals plus returning a value perfectly. Even if your chat helped, the fact you understand it and wrote it, okay, cleanly is what matters. This is exactly the level of recursion mastery I want to see. Before moving on, we can absolutely do more questions in the same format, slowly increasing the complexity so you initialize recursion deeply. Okay, just return n plus some even numbers inside n modulus 3 equals 0. Do console outputs n inside function and run it, and you can see how n changes for each recursion. Oh, can I actually? Let me actually try that. Inside the function, let me go with something like a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert my n with a / new line ending with a semicolon. If audit control has to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Enter a number, I'll go with 7. So it goes with this thing. Okay, inside the function, don't write anything outside if/else. Drink water reminder. Honestly, I forgot to drink water, guys. Do it at the starting. Okay, let me try. Okay, let's copy that. Don't write anything outside the if/else. So do it at the start. So I could do it here. Okay, now if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Let me add that 7. Inside the second if and also in the else. Oh, okay, I think I understand. So we check what happens after each code. Let's go ahead and paste that here. Okay, I honestly didn't know that I could do something like this. That actually makes so much sense. There we go. Let me go ahead and paste it here as well. Now if I hit Control S and run the code, let's see what happens. Number 7. Okay guys, I hit enter probably. Okay, let's see. Don't write anything after return, it won't run. Guys, I'm so stupid. I should pay more attention on these things. Okay, let me go ahead and paste that. There we go, and then paste one here as well. Copy that, delete it from there. Let me go ahead and paste that there. There we go. Now if I Control S to save the code and run the command. Excuse me guys, I'll go with 7. Okay, I'm pretty sure I went with 7 this time. 7? Oh, there. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 12. What if I just go with one line, like not my else? Let's go with the Control S to save the code and run the command again. Enter a number, let's go with 7. 6, 4, 12. Oh. Okay, honestly, this does make a lot of sense. Okay, let's get Sensei/ChatGPT here. Let me scroll this down and maybe drink some coffee. Guys, I honestly love coffee. Okay, let me just keep that down. Okay, that said, where was I? Okay, question. Write a recursive function, do Fibonacci. Honestly, I could actually try okay, you know what? Let me try factorial after Fibonacci. Let's say, people from my chat asked me to do Fibonacci. So, can we do factorial after Fibonacci unless Fibonacci is more complex than factorial? Okay, let's see. Fibonacci. Now that's a juicy little beast. Here's the deal. Fibonacci is simpler than factorial. Factorial is simpler than Fibonacci. You'll always know exactly how many recursive calls happens, and each call just multiplies n-1, super linear and predictable. Fibonacci is a bit trickier because each call splits it to 2 recursive calls, fib n-1 plus fib n-2. Then the call stack grows exponentially if you do it with a negative, which can feel a bit messy for large n. So the recommended order, factorial first, solidifies base plus recursive return pattern. Fibonacci next introduces recursion that branches and shows. Okay, honestly, I see. If you learn Fibonacci and recursion and master it, trust me. Okay, in that case, I honestly might try Fibonacci after I go with the factorials. Okay, so it says write a recursive function called factorial integer n that calculates the factorial of n. Okay, let me go with the Control A, delete everything. Let's start off by including a pair of ankle braces. I want to include IO stream. And guys, maybe I want to eat some nuts. I honestly didn't eat anything before I started streaming. Okay, that said, let's see. Did I spell include correct? Okay. So I include IO stream. Next up, let's create a function called factorial n. So let me go ahead and create a, okay, that calculates. Since it calculates something, I'll go with an integer. So I'll go with something like integer factorial a pair of angle braces. It's going to have a parameter of n, which is going to be an integer. I'll go with a pair of curly braces, maybe eat some peanuts. Actually, I feel these are, I don't know what kind of nuts these are. I think it's like, are these, oh, I think they're pecans. Okay. Base case, if factorial 0, set it equal to 1. Okay, so let's add an if statement. So I'll go with if, a pair of parentheses. Let me go ahead and add something like, if my n, do you do short live streams? Honestly, the reason I am just going through vertical live streams is because my PC can handle going through vertical and horizontal at the same time, plus multi-streaming. Although once I once I actually get my actual PC, I'm going to be streaming vertically, horizontally on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, maybe even TikTok and Instagram at the same time. That said, I'll go with if my n equals to 0. I'm going to set it to be 1. Okay, I'm going to return 1, ending with a semicolon. That said, I'm going to drink some coffee. Okay, next up, maybe eat some more pecans. Guys, I'm honestly starving so bad. Okay, this is going to be my base case, so I'll go with base case. Okay, and then let me go ahead and add a recursive case. So it says write a recursive function, factorial integer that calculates the factorial of numbers. You look like Indian. Honestly, guys, I do get that a lot. While n is less than 0, return 1, handle negative case there itself. I could do it while it's less than or equal to 0. There we go. Okay, so let's see. If my n is either less than or equal to 0, base case. Next up, let's add a recursive case. I could go with something like... Okay, so let me go ahead and return something else. So I'll return... Okay, so let me go ahead and return invoke my factorial function. If I'm correct, factorial of 5 should be 5 times, 4 times, 3 times, 2 times, 1. Is that correct? Hashtag not my zone in. Honestly, hashtag used to add comments in Python. Okay, that said, my factorial function, I do return it. This is going to be n minus 1. Okay, so let's go with something like n multiplied by factorial of n minus 1. There we go. And then let me go ahead and add an integer here. I will end up with a semicolon. Okay, now let me go ahead and typecast our main function to be an integer. So I'll go with integer main or a pair of parentheses. Guys, give me a sec. I just realized we hit our subscriber goal. I appreciate you guys so much for that. Okay, and honestly, I should like add this stuff where it like auto updates, but apparently it doesn't auto update. I gotta update it manually. Okay, give me a sec, guys. There we go. Let's just change that. Okay, honestly, I do appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart for that. Okay, that said, I hope it actually updated. Okay, with that said, let's go with integer main. Let me add a pair of parentheses, a pair of curly braces. And now, base case factorial. Okay, so inside of my main function, let me go with an integer of a number. Okay, ended with a semicolon, and then add a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert something. Let's say I want to insert something like enter a number. Okay, and then I'm going to be ending that with a semicolon. And then let's add a standard console input with an extraction operator. I want to extract something. I want to extract my number variable ending with a semicolon. Perfect, right off the bat. Good job. I appreciate you. Kiyoya, is that how you pronounce your name? Okay. Okay, honestly, I'm actually trying to understand what this means because this is going to be my number, my initial number that my user inputs. Then later I go with factorial, invoke my function, my number minus 1. Read my comment, bro. Did I miss something? I honestly read. I even replied it. Why do you do short live streams? The reason I do short live streams is because right now my mini PC can handle like live streaming like vertically, horizontally, and like on multi-streaming as well. So like on Twitch, Kick, YouTube. Although once I get my actual PC, I am going to multi-stream on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, maybe TikTok and Instagram as well if I met the followers count. That said, I will also be stream vertically and horizontally. Guys, I feel like I repeated myself. Okay, let me go with the standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert something. Okay, this returns factorial. Do I want to return it or like just invoke my function? I could honestly go with my factorial function here. Okay, add a pair of parentheses. This is going to be my number. Okay, and then I'm going to end up with a semicolon. Lastly, let's go ahead and return 0. If I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I want to go with 5. It actually does work. Guys, I'm actually not lying. I didn't expect it to work in the first try. Let's go with something like 4. Okay, so 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 12 is, I think it's 36. Was that correct, guys? Okay, let's go with the Control A, Control C. Copy that. Give syntax/ChatGPT here. No, in C++. Why use standard every time when you can use using namespace std after include line? Honestly, the reason I don't use using namespace std is because in bigger projects, not using standard console output can cause name conflicts if you have other libraries, because other libraries could have console output as well. So that could cause like name clashes. Okay, let me go shift enter and say I actually did this one on my own first try as well! Exclamation. I should have wrote that in calc for some hype. Guys, maybe I'll just shove some in my mouth. Okay, there we go. Let me say yes, let's say. Okay, maybe drink some coffee as well. Guys, I'm honestly starving so bad. Should have eaten something before I started streaming. That's it, good. Now we step into the Fibonacci storm. Question 1. Write a recursive function Fibonacci integer n that returns the n Fibonacci number. How old are you? Honestly, I'm 17. I'm gonna actually turn 18 like in a few months. My birthday is in January. That said, rules. Base case Fibonacci 0 equals to 0. Fibonacci 1 equals to 1. Recursive case fib n equals to fib n minus 1. Can't wait to see you go mad. Go mad. Finally, Fibonacci, let's go. Can you do a coding stream with one or more? With one or more? Honestly, I don't understand what that means. That said, no loops allowed. Main function should ask the user for input and fib n. Okay, example. Input 6, output 8. Okay, I think I know. Okay, so Fibonacci basically means 0 and 1 is going to give me 1. 1 plus 1 gives me 2. 2 plus 3 gives me 5. Okay, I had to like recall what Fibonacci even were. I think it should be easier. One or more people. Honestly, eventually I was planning to like stream with my subscribers. That said, once I'm actually pretty good with it. Okay, bro, GPT just gave you the answer by showing the recursive case. Wait, did it? Honestly? Did it show? Bro, you can't see my comment or what I'm asking something to switch to see all chat messages because I'm asking if you'll ever do HTTPS server in C++. It's difficult. Honestly, I actually might try that and I don't think I actually saw the chat. Okay, let me start off by including a pair of ankle braces. Okay, so I'll include a pair of ankle braces. This is going to be IO stream. And then let's see, let me go ahead and create a function called Fibonacci. So I'll go with integer Fibonacci. There we go. Did I spell it correct? How do you spell Fibonacci? So it's Fibonacci. There we go. But networking is next level in C++. Honestly, do cybersecurities even use C++? I was just curious because I was actually planning to either be a cybersecurity or an AI engineer. That said, integer Fibonacci is going to be having a parameter of n, which is going to be an integer. And then I'll go with a pair of curly braces. You need to be advanced to do that. Ooh, I see. Honestly, networking does sound fun. That said, let's go ahead and add a base case. So I'll go with if a pair of parentheses. Okay, so let's say if my n is less than or equal to 0, I'm going to do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces that sets my n to be... Actually, I'm going to return something. Excuse me, guys. I'll go ahead and return 0. This is going to be my base case, so I'll go with base case. Okay, and then let's go ahead and add a recursive case. So, since for my Fibonacci numbers, I need to get... let's see. Since I need to get my original number plus the second number, I gotta get the sum of my first element and my second element. Let me go ahead and return something. Guys, I remember making a lot of Fibonacci questions when I was learning Python recursion, so I might remember, although that was like 150 days ago or something. Okay, so I'll go ahead and return, invoke my Fibonacci, okay, my Fibonacci function. Add a pair of parentheses, I'll go with n minus 1. This is going to be my first element. Doesn't make sense. Plus Fibonacci n minus 2. Okay. I think this actually makes sense. Here's an C++ networking example. Ooh. Okay, let's see. And guys, after this question, I actually might end the stream. And if I'm not that good with recursion, I might actually go have another stream tomorrow that does recursion. Because guys, I'm starving really bad. That said, I'll go with something like integer main, a pair of parentheses, and then a pair of curly braces. Let me go ahead and create an integer variable called number ending with a semicolon. And then I'll add a standard console output with an insertion operator that's going to say something like enter a number. Try running and seeing output, then you'll know if it makes sense. Wait, can I run before a code is even completed? Does that make sense? Okay, I could go with a standard console input with an extraction operator. This is going to be my number variable. Okay, try to run and see output. Okay, honestly, I could actually try running it. Before that, I'll end this with a semicolon. And then let's go ahead and invoke my... let's go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I'm going to be invoking my Fibonacci function, add a pair of parentheses. My parameter is going to be my number parameter. I'll go with another insertion operator. Honestly, I don't think I'll need an insertion operator. I'll just end this with a semicolon. Next up, let's go ahead and return 0, ending with a semicolon. If I hit Ctrl S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Enter a number, I'll go with 7. Okay, I feel like I messed up somewhere. Let's see where I messed up. So, if my n is less than or equal to 0, I return 0. That is my base case. This is supposed to be my recursive case. See, since you have already understood that using namespace std is bad when you have large projects, but since you're learning, stop wasting time by writing standard every time and just use namespace std instead. Honestly, the reason I don't do it is because I don't want to add my muscle memory, because like when we're like starting by learning something and we like learn the stuff with a bad practice, that eventually becomes harder to like undo, because if I get used to not using standard console output, I could like mess up like in the future. That said, am I messing somewhere? This is n minus 1. Okay, plus n minus 2. What happens if I go with n minus 2 minus n minus 1? Actually, n minus 2 plus Fibonacci n minus 1. Will this work, guys? Okay, let's go with a number. I'll go with 7. It gives me 0. What happens now? Is your recursion subtracts the number till 0 and returns 0, and you add up the 0. That's why you got 0. If you need n equals to 1, return 1, then only add anything that makes sense. Okay, honestly, the reason I didn't want to add 1 is because they would have 2 1s then. Like, if my number hits 0, and for example, I have Fibonacci of 3, so 1 plus the Fibonacci of 3 would give me 5, but if I think if I returned 1, then that would give me 6. If that made any sense, guys. Okay, so I returned Fibonacci n minus 2. Maybe I go with n minus 1 plus Fibonacci n minus 2. You're simply adding 0 for each recursion. Simply adding 0. Am I adding 0? Okay, I think I see. Let me try if I were to save the code and run the command, this is going to be 7. Guys, is this correct? Hold up, let me go with something like 3. Should give me 5. It gives me 2. 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, in Sutsai's example, what does Sutsai give? Okay, so the 6 input 6 would give me 8. So let me try adding 6. I'm failing in C++. Do you have any tips? Honestly, I'd say my biggest tip is to like actually do as many questions as you can, because the more questions you do, the better you get. And eventually, even if you start like being awful, because like I actually started when I was completely awful, guys. You guys, I actually appreciate you guys so much for helping me on stream when I was first setting my C++ and VS Code up. That said, I feel I did improve a bit. Okay, so I feel like just doing questions and being consistent every day is already a really big step. That said, return n minus 1. What if I go with 2 here and 1 here? Okay, now if I save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Maybe I go with 6. Does it give me 8? Why does it give me 9? Let me actually try counting the Fibonacci's. So, if I go here, let's see. So, let me actually go with like a smaller number. Maybe like 3. Okay, let's go with 3. So 3 gives me 0. How do I count that then? What if I go with 4? Let's see. 4 gives me 2. So if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 0 plus 1 gives me 1. 1 plus 2 gives me 3. 3 plus 4. 3 plus 3 gives me 6. 6 plus 4 gives me 10. The Fibonacci of 4 should be 10. I get 2. Is it because I have to do this? Your first code was correct. You simply needed, if n equals to 1, return 1. Was it? Okay, let's go with Fibonacci n minus 1. Plus, let's go with something like Fibonacci n minus 2. So I just needed, if n equals to 1, I returned 0. Oh, I returned 1. Oh, okay, I see. If my n is 1. Okay, that makes sense. I usually went with 0. Okay, if I Control S right now and run the code. Okay, I got an error because like highlighted something. That said, if I go with something like 4, I don't get anything. Did I do my standard console output Fibonacci number? Okay, n minus 1. This is going to be my first element. Plus n minus 2. Integer. Okay, what if I went with n minus 1? There we go. Now if I hit Control S, you'll be surprised how this works. Ask ChatGPT to show you the recursive tree for n equals to 5. Okay, so let me just do that. Go with Control C, get Sensei/ChatGPT here. Okay, let me get it here. Paste it, go with Shift Enter and say something like, let's say, I feel like I messed up ... That said, someone from my chat said me to ask you to show a Fibonacci tree when the n is equal to 5. Okay, let's see. Yes, this is exactly why Fibonacci can be tricky for beginners. You're very close, but you missed one. You missed one of the base cases. Right now, if n equals to 1, you return 1. But Fibonacci also handles 0. So if n equals to 0, Fibonacci at index 0 equals 0. Without it, the recursion will try to call fib -1, eventually undefined behavior / stack overflow. I gotta 2 recursive cases. Simply ask. Don't get the code. Okay, now let's visualize the Fibonacci recursion tree for n equals to 5. This shows how the call branches. So Fibonacci 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1 is 1, 0 is 0. Fibonacci 1 is 1. Fibonacci 2. Is this the tree? Notice how many repeated calls. For example, Fibonacci 2 and Fibonacci 1 happens multiple times. That's why negative Fibonacci recursion is inefficient for a large n, okay? If you want, we can fix your code. Okay, so I just got at 2 base cases, honestly. And guys, I feel like I can't think much also because I am kind of starving. Because like if you guys like did watch my old stream, you guys would know like if I don't eat anything, I absolutely can't think. That said, if it's 0, you're actually adding 1 plus 1, 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. Oh, you're actually not adding 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. You're only adding 1. Huh. Okay, let's actually try this. Let me go ahead and return 0. There we go. Guys, I feel like I can hardly think. Can you see links so you can see the C++ example to see how difficult it is? Can you see link? Honestly, I can't like see a link. Just keep powering through and learn topics you don't need to understand until you know them by heart. Actually, that does make sense. Yeah, let's go with base case. Okay, now if I hit Control S to save the code, run the command. If I go with 4, I get 3. Okay, so you're not actually adding 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3, you're only adding 1. Oh, YouTube blocks it? Honestly, I feel like YouTube blocks links. Okay, Fibonacci n minus 1 plus Fibonacci n minus 2. Okay, you're not actually adding 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus, you're only adding 1. Do one thing, search in Google recursive tree for n equals Fibonacci and check image, please. Okay, let's see something like n equals to 5. Fibonacci tree C++. Okay, let's see. Let me get this here. Okay, and then scroll all the way down. Maybe go to images. Is this like a Fibonacci tree? Oh my gosh, this is so blurry. Okay, so it shows something like... how do you move it to the left? Oops. Maybe I just go with... There we go. Okay, so n, Fibonacci 4, Fibonacci 3. 5 plus 3 is 8. Fibonacci 3 plus Fibonacci 2, 3 plus 2. Fibonacci 2 plus Fibonacci 1. Okay. Wait, do I start from the bottom? Fibonacci 1 plus Fibonacci 0. That is 1 plus 1. Guys, I think I can actually help the thing because I am starving. Okay, can you share the roadmap you're using for those 100 days? Honestly, yeah, you could like join my Discord server. I can like send you the roadmap that I use for C++. That said, let's see. Okay. Notice many repeat examples. For example, Fibonacci 2 and Fibonacci 1 happens multiple times. Okay, I think I see. Okay, so let's read the instructions again. Factorial. Okay. Okay, so I gotta go Fibonacci n equals to Fibonacci. Didn't I go with Fibonacci? Can you go to paste bin and go to /om? Honestly, I could try that after you stream because I do actually gotta go because I am starving. Plus, I have a lot of college assignments to do. That's it. Main function should ask input. Okay, this should be correct. Am I messing up somewhere, guys? Fibonacci at index of n. Wait, apparently I gotta go with Fibonacci. Okay, wait, hold up. Let's go with the control Z. Maybe add a space. Okay, at index of n equals to. Does this make any sense? If I remove the return from here. Okay, this doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's go with the controller. Control C again. Get some sensei/GPT here. Okay, get this down. Go ahead and paste this. Try to do loop Fibonacci first. You don't understand recursion yet. Honestly, guys, I actually might try that next stream because I do want to like end the stream right now. Because I actually feel like I won't be able to think much because I am kind of starving. Plus, I have a lot of college stuff. So let me say something like, Sensei, I feel like I messed up again. ... That said, I might actually do this next stream. ... So actually, let me give a reason, guys. Since I am starving and do have a lot of college work. ... And I don't think that I can think if I'm hungry. Okay, that said, is there anything that you want to say to the viewers before I end the stream? Question mark. Let's see, guys. Okay, listen up, warriors. You just watched someone dive deep into recursion, wrestle with countdowns, sum factorials, and even Fibonacci, all while battling real-life distractions like hunger and homework that takes guts, focus, and discipline. And yes, you should absolutely be proud. Here's a parting nugget for today. Discipline is the bridge between raw potential and mastery. Cross it every day, even when the storm is loud. It's said by Sarah slash Sensei. Keep your mind sharp, practice relentlessly, and remember, every bug you fix, every recursion you trace is sharpening your brains into a weapon. Now go eat, refuel, and attack your homework with the same energy you brought to the stream. We'll be back stronger next stream. Recursion won't know what hit it. Okay, hugs, head pats, and a high five for all of you. Okay, that said, let me go to my main camera. And honestly, let me drink my coffee real quick, guys. Give me a sec. Okay, I know that we don't chug coffee like that. That said, guys, excuse me, guys, that's basically it for the stream. I didn't want to stream for longer. That said, I am kind of hungry, so I think no matter how much more I would have worked on this, I wouldn't be able to figure it out because I can't think anything. That said, I do have my homework as well. Although after my college is over, I might actually stream for 6 hours again, like how I used to stream before. That said, and I'm also planning to get an actual PC. Once I get the PC, I will make a video or a short of me building that PC, and that would fix all my lag, so I would be multi-streaming on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, maybe TikTok and Instagram as well if I did meet the followers count. And oh my gosh, I can't phrase. So if you guys do enjoy my content and haven't followed me there yet, make sure to follow me there. The link is in the description, and also join the Discord. You guys can get access to the Discord server by typing !Discord on chat. That said, I'll catch you guys in the next live stream or video. Peace! Howdy Linux, I appreciate you joining the stream. Although the stream did end, you can skip recursion after learning Fibonacci properly. You haven't still figured it out. Don't skip it now. Learn Fibonacci and recursion, and then I can skip. Honestly, yeah, eventually next stream I am going to be going to recursion, or like I'll have multiple streams maybe until I don't figure recursion out. Once I figure it out, that's when I'm going to move on. Okay, that's it. Let me end my stream.